and the BMW M2, we go back a way. Yeah, we've got history, nearly quite bad history. See, when it first came out in 2016, I was working at CarWow, and I think I became nearly the first UK journalist to crash one. I was doing a reverse drag race against someone from CarWow that presents their videos, and yeah, the brakes don't work as well going backwards as they do forwards, and I nearly stuck it into a lamppost and wrote it off. And I'm sure since the car has come out, many other M2s have gone backwards into lampposts, but perhaps in not quite such a silly way. But now we've got the new M2, and I'm half wondering if it's a slightly more grown-up car than before. I've always seen it as an alternative to the likes of the Porsche Cayman. Now it's bigger, more powerful. Is it all just a bit too much? Let's pull over here and find out. Now, as I'm sure you all know if you're watching this, the original M2 was kind of a car of two halves. When it first came out in 2016, I think it was. It wasn't quite the full-fat mini sports car, mini M3 that we wanted. It didn't have a full-on M engine, and it didn't actually just feel that special in the chassis department. But then the competition came out in 2018, 2019 and fixed all of that. And the M2 Comp is still one of my favourite cars ever. It's on my kind of list of attainable dream cars I'd like to buy one day. And it just got the engine it needed and the chassis tweaks, and it felt amazing. This, I kind of feel, has already become a bit more grown up. It shares most of its platform with the current M4. Its engine as well, albeit detuned. It's rear-wheel drive only, and you can now get it with a manual gearbox for £1,200 extra. So yeah, instead of having a more expensive automatic gearbox, you've got more expensive manual gearbox, but whatever, driving enthusiasts want that kind of thing. So yeah, you can change your own gears in the M2. Now the looks of this have obviously been a bit controversial, if I'm going to be kind. Some people liken it to a 2 Series Active Tourer that's just been on the roids. I think it's all right in person, and I really love this Zandvoort blue. You can also have it in black, white, grey, red, and a few other fairly boring colours. This is the one for me, although I wouldn't have it on black alloys. I just don't know why car makers keep doing black wheels. They look crap, in my opinion. But anyway, whatever. It looks butcher, it looks meaner than the M240i, which you can buy as well at the moment. That's 4-wheel drive, still a 6-cylinder petrol, and I really like that car. In fact, this is only a tiny bit quicker to 60 than the M240i. But anyway, if you're watching this, I'm not going to bore you with the facts and figures. You just want to see it being driven. That's what we're going to do. I am going to show you a few of the little practical bits first, though, because that's what I do on this channel. As well as driving cars, I show you what they're like to live with. So yeah, let's go. That went on a bit. Now there are some numbers we need to talk about, and it's not how cold are my ears, which is very cold. The price is 65 grand here in the UK for a new M2. That is about £17,000 less than an M4 competition. Admittedly, this isn't a competition model yet, it's just an M2. I think there'll be a competition coming in a few years' time, but it is 15 grand more than an M240i, which, as I've said, is about as fast and also a very good car. So what do you get for your 15 grand? Well, you get the insert Joe Achilles model code for the engine. I can't remember what it is, SN something or other. It's got 460 horsepower, 550 newton meters of torque, 0-60 in 4.1 seconds in this automatic version, 4.3 in the manual version. You also get all the usual M stuff. You get adaptive suspension, which has got comfort, sport, and sport plus modes. You also got an active rear diff and loads of other driving modes, the drift analyzer, all that kind of good race tracky stuff. But anyway, let's show you the rest of it quickly. Gas struts. Did you want to know what the side of an M2 looks like? Well, this is what it looks like. It's 4.6 meters long, which is a bit bigger than the old one. It's about the same size as a Volkswagen Tiguan if we're doing pointless comparisons. And although you M2 owners might be pleased that your car shares so much with the M3 and M4 now, it also shares its weight, 1.8 tons for this current M2. It's 250 kilos heavier than the old one, which is a real shame. Second shame for me is the fact that black wheels are standard. I've spoken about them. Don't like them, get silver ones. Be a proper man or woman or whatever you want to be. Oh yes, it's also got Joe Achilles approved Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres as standard. And they are very good all year round, although when it's about 3 degrees and a bit damp like today, leave the stability control on would be my advice. Lovely. Now, clearly, I'm not a person that's allowed to hold opinions on aesthetics, seeing as I'm wearing this coat with a toothpaste colour t-shirt, but I don't think the back of the M2 is its most successful angle. Just looks a bit, I don't know, a bit clunky and not quite as good as the front 3/4 angle, which I know most of you probably won't like either. I do like the quad exhaust tips. You can lose 4 ferrets at once very easily, and it's quite a loud car as well. Reversing camera is standard, and the boot, which is not electrically opening, as I've just found out, is 390 litres. An M4 has about 50 litres more space than this, and you can't flip the rear seats down, although you do have a ski hatch. Handy performance car facts right coming at you now in its bruv. Oh yes, and as far as I understand, all UK M2s get a carbon fibre roof as standard. It's lovely. Better than the one in the GR Yaris, which is covered in sellotape. The interior of the M2 is very modern BMW, which means you get 2 massive screens. Very lovely. What isn't so lovely is the inclusion of the now legal from 2024 speed limit warning system. So when the speed limit changes, it will bong at you. If you exceed the speed limit, it will bong at you. It's got more bongs than Snoop Dogg, frankly. You can turn them off, but only if you've got a BMW account. I don't have one of those, but if you owned one, you would. But you still have to turn it off every time you start the car. But it does feel lovely in here. Standard M3 steering wheel with all the carbon fibre stuff you get standard in the UK, so carbon fibre shift paddles. The M buttons, which are very good, so you can set up your special modes, so you can have traction control off, you can have it in Sport Plus, you can actually just leave it with everything switched off, and you press the button twice and it will do it. BMW trusts you to be a grown-up and skid your car around. You take responsibility for that. Loads of carbon fibre down here as standard. It's really, really nice in here. I have got an extra pack on this one, which includes a heated steering wheel. But anyway, enough about that. I should tell you that it's got rear seats, actually, shouldn't I? It's got rear seats. My kid seats are in there. It's got Isofix, and they actually do fit in there okay. I have to have my seat forward a little bit more than I normally would, but you can still drive it. Let's actually do that. Go and drive it. Right, rather helpfully, the M2 comes as standard with something called Junction Exit Assistant, where you can just kind of leave sideways from every junction. That's actually called turning everything off. I want that back on, actually. Yes, this car is an absolute blast to drive. It's got a massive range of configurability, like all modern M BMWs. Having the chassis in Sport Plus on UK roads will make your teeth go the way of the dodo, and they'll fly out the window and be sucked up probably by an M3's massive snout behind you. But yeah, leave it in comfort or sport chassis in the UK, and it's kind of okay. The steering, modern steering, it's got a thick steering wheel. It's too thick, frankly, and you don't get much feedback from it. But other than that, you just fill time until the jogger in front of you gets out of your way. So in many ways then, it is just as livable as a normal 2 Series or an M240i. And that M240i, I keep talking about it, is a really nice package, and it comes in purple as well, which always helps. But this instantly feels more ferocious. Even just in normal sport mode, out of that junction, you can feel it being pushed by the rear wheels and slabs of low down torque. And the new M3 and M4, which this is based on, they really impressed me when they came out, because they've got loads more grip than the previous generation, which used to scare me, frankly. I'll be honest. They would just spin the back wheels up in whatever conditions randomly with big spikes of torque, whereas these now, the chassis is just more planted, it's less spiky, it's less scary, which means you can enjoy it more of the time. And this is the same. Yes, the wheelbase is shorter than on the M3 and the M4, so when it starts to let go, it's a bit quicker, but it's not really scary, and you can leave it in M dynamic mode and just enjoy yourself. Now that's a bong, because I've gone 1 mile an hour over the speed limit on this road. Bad Tim. But anyway, it's darker than the inside of Osama bin Laden's beard here. I'm going to go somewhere with a bit more daylight and talk to you about how this drives. Now, obviously, the M2 is fast. This engine has got slugs of torque, and I love the way it just lets you dance a little bit of the back axle as you're accelerating in a straight line. It never feels like it's going to get out of control, but you can just sense the rear wheels spinning and almost gliding over the road surface until they dig in, and then you just bugger off. It's properly rapid, but it's also really enjoyable because it's got so much torque. You can go down a country road at 60 miles an hour and it feels like it's asleep. It has got so much in reserve, in the bank, that it's one of the great modern engines, frankly. Woof! Look it off! The childish things, but you do get a satisfying woof on the upshifts as well. I'd say the gear shifts aren't wickedly fast like they are in a dual clutch car. There can sometimes be a bit of a delay as you slam into the limit and then pull a paddle, and then a quarter of a second later it shifts gear, which can be a bit annoying, but by and large it just gets on with it and it's okay. That bong is doing my head in. Let's go from 40 up to 70 onto my local dual carriageway, rotation from the rear. That's 70, I can't keep accelerating because we'll be breaking the speed limit. Yeah, at 70 miles an hour, it's actually a pretty good cruiser. You get a bit of wind noise off the large door mirrors, even though they've got that aerodynamic funkery going on. Don't get too much tyre roar, and if you stick the chassis in comfort mode, you can do big miles in it. You won't be uncomfortable. If I look a bit hunched up, it's because my seat won't go back too much more without squashing my daughter's virtual legs, which apparently is frowned upon. But anyway, I'm heading to my favourite twisty road just to talk a bit more about how it makes me feel as a human being, as opposed to all those alpacas that are buying M2s on PCP. I'm on one of my favourite country roads, and sorry if it's got a bit grainy. I've lost half my GoPro footage. I think JLR are making GoPros now. But anyway, I'm in M dynamic mode, comfort chassis, sport for the engine. I'm just going to boot it and see how much fun a normal bloke can have on his favourite country road in an M2. Now, if you want to see it being drifted, go and watch Chris Harris's video over on Collecting Cars, I think it was. It's really good. And if you want a long-term review, go and watch Joe Achilles. He's had one of these for 3,000 miles. But for me, Joe blogs on a country road, it is really, really engaging. It feels really special. You're always aware of just how much torque you've got access to under your right foot, and you can just really judge the balance of the car, even doing 50 miles an hour down this road. Yeah, it's involving. I kind of don't want to push the tail too wide out of here. I know it's wet, there are bumps there. You can just sense the innate balance in the car, and it's set up to do exactly what you want it to do. And in M dynamic mode, as I am now, you can kick the tail out a little bit and it will look after you. BMW wants you to know it's rear wheel drive. They're not trying to hide that fact or anything like that. So yeah, around here, no steering feel, but you sense there's loads of grip at the front end. To be honest, I'm getting most of the feedback from my bum, so I know exactly how much throttle I can give out there. It's massively entertaining, and frankly, it's a car that turns your normal country road driving into something just really engaging, something a bit special, something we don't see enough of. And this year, all I've driven, as I've said, is electric SUVs. So to drive something that just lets you be a bit of an idiot and massively involving at the same time, it's really special. Anyway, that sounds a lot like a conclusion. Let's go back to the lay-by of justice for my last car conclusion of the year. I better fuck up my lines. To sum up, the BMW M2 is one of the best cars I've driven in the past couple of years. It is not just how well it drives and the ferocity of the engine and the playfulness of the chassis and how it makes you walk into the door mirror. It is just the way it all comes together as a really confidence-inspiring package that still trusts you to be a bit of a hooligan if you want to, but it's also what it represents. This is one of the last rear-wheel drive manual gearbox cars you can buy, and what a way for that recipe to bow out, frankly. Now, there are questions about price and about weight, but you don't really think about those once you bought one, I imagine, and once you're driving it. You might question the looks, but that probably means it'll be rarer than the old one if everyone thinks it's ugly. Would I have it over a Cayman? Yes, because I like to carry stuff and I've got kids, and yes, I know the Cayman's got a massive frunk and things like that, but it doesn't have back seats. As small as they are in this, they are still usable for my kids. So yeah, I really like it. I love the colour. I've really enjoyed my time with it. Negatives, as I've said, looks, price. It can be a bit firm, but it's a sports car, really. So yeah, that's about it. Would I have one over an M4? Yes, I would save myself £17,000. And I think this looks better than the M4. I don't really like the proportions of that car. And it's got the massive nostril grille on the M4 as well. And it's just a bit better sized for UK roads, albeit only by a small margin. So there we go. I love it. BMW M2, one of the best cars of the past few years. It gets 9.5 Tim Roadies out of 10. Astonishing. If you've made it this far in the video, I love you. Have a wonderful holiday season. Please subscribe to the channel and also like this video if it's been entertaining. And I'll see you next year for more shenanigans. and hopefully something that's not an electric SUV. More of these, please, world.